Hey, Danny.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. Let me get myself in the screen so it's not the top of my head.
Yeah, it took me a minute to set up this screen properly too.
You look very,
Challenges.
very professional with the white background and
I know, right? Except for this green thing behind me, but what are you gonna do?
So full disclosure, like a lot of times, most of the people or a lot of the people that we talk to on this show, I've known for years, and we've talked a couple times. You've had some challenges with a piece of equipment that I know
Yes.
my old assistant Ben helped you out with, and but other than that, honestly, I read your bio, so I'm like kind of with everybody else, on this deal.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, great. That's a good start, I feel like.
So anyway, company's mostly chocolate.
Yeah,
Houston, Texas.
that's right. H-Town.
I'm waiting for my pie,
Your pie.
not from you, but I have a good friend who
Uh-huh.
who went to Rice and then went to law school and came back to Houston and now lives in Houston. And there was a trip to Good Company Barbecue the weekend of
Oh,
his
they're
wedding.
pecan pies. Yeah, yeah.
And so every year since then, Chris and Therese send me a pecan pie from Good Company. And
That's like the classic corporate gift. That's like the old school. That's what they do. They put it in a wood box, and they sell. I don't know how many of those they sell a year, but it's pretty crazy, and they still do. I mean, yeah,
I like keep the wood boxes in my basement just cause.
you can use it. I mean, if you're a cigar smoker, you can use it for your cigar storage.
Yeah,
Who knows? Yeah,
they're on my tool, they're on my workbench. So they've
yeah,
got like one has batteries in it, one has like
yeah.
random screws in it. But we went to the night. We'll get to your story in a minute. But
Oh, it's
the
cool. It's all good.
the
I love
first time we
talking
went to the
Houston.
company, we took like our vegetarian friend, and she's like, "I'll find something," and we're like, "We don't think you're going to find anything at a Good Company." She goes, "No, no, no, they have potatoes." I'm like, "Great, and the potatoes have meat on them."
Yes, yes. And it's crazy because when I grew up, honestly, it's funny, like I think in the last 10 years is really when Houston is like blown up culinary wise. And I felt it. I went to U of H, so I can tell it was happening like in '07, '08. But I grew up, Good Company was the barbecue in town. I mean, and now you have all this, I mean, now it's a whole different game now. So now you still have the classics, but some of these new places too that are popping up, man, the artisans like barbecue places that are opening up are phenomenal. And it's
Yeah,
a science. I mean,
yeah.
it's crazy.
Full disclosure, I did barbecue before I did pastry.
Oh, and
So
so
like,
you totally get it. Yeah, I mean, cooking a brisket it's crazy. Every
and it's
environment you're in, it
and it's different,
changes.
right? And it's
Yeah,
different, like regionally, it's different. And one of the things I love about my job is that I get to travel a lot, and like I always do barbecue. Like it's just like my thing. It makes my wife crazy. Everywhere we go, we got to do barbecue. Like, and so we're here for ribs, and we're here for pork, and we're here for brisket, and
yeah, yeah. All the good stuff. I mean, Texas is known is a brisket place. I mean, they
right.
do everything else well, but that's like what you get judged on here. I feel like is how good is your brisket, and people wait in crazy lines. Like the guy in Austin. I mean, that's just that they like people want to wait in line and drink beers at 7 in the morning. They want an excuse to do that. So now the Texans aren't playing very well and the Cowboys are pretty bad. So they can't and you can't tailgate right now, even if you wanted to. But that's something to be seen if you're a barbecue man when things get back to normal. A Texans tailgate is, I mean, it's better than going into the game. I mean, it's something to see, and it's just everyone celebrating and cooking, and it's quite the experience to see.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the cat that gets up at 3 o'clock in the morning to put my brisket or put my pork butt in,
Yeah,
right? Like
yeah,
my wife's like, "When are we gonna eat?" I'm like, "Tomorrow night at like 7."
yeah. I mean,
You
I
know,
have a friend. He bought one of those green eggs a long time ago, and he has before he even had kids, he bought a baby thermom, one of those cameras that will alert him if the temperature changes in the middle of the night and he has to go check on it. I mean, that's
yeah,
that's how much he loved cooking. I mean, and people that cook brisket or barbecue, that's how much they love it. I mean, for them, it's like,
yeah. I have a Bluetooth thermometer that
yeah,
lives in my back with my
exactly, yeah,
smoker, and
yeah,
so like I don't have to get up, and I can see how long I'm in the stall because I'm worried
yeah,
about stuff like that.
yeah.
But anyway,
That's how it goes, man. I mean, you got to find that. It's like, it's funny because I think that's the same passion people have with chocolate. I mean, it's very similar like cooking. I mean, it's funny because they're totally polar opposites, like in regards to what you're eating. But that's kind of what chocolate does to people. When I hear a lot of chocolatier stories when they get started, I hear a lot of similar to my story, which is kind of like, I don't know. I mean, one day I got to experience this thing, and it was just I didn't realize how incredible chocolate was, and that's what I want to do now. I'm going to drop everything I'm doing and start doing that, and that's just how it happens for a lot of people.
Yeah, like what I love about chocolate, and I kind of love about barbecue too, probably because I never really thought about that before, is I spent a lot of time kind of like doing stuff,
Yeah,
right? And then
yeah,
like just trying stuff, right? Like throwing stuff together and seeing if it'll work. And then I spent a bunch of time like learning the science of chocolate, right?
exactly.
And then once
Yeah.
you kind of know the science of chocolate and you know how those things are going to go together,
Mm-hmm.
or the flavors are going to go, or how the
Flavor
crystallization is going to
profiles,
happen,
yeah.
all that stuff, then you're back to that kind of like, I'm doing this. Like I'm playing with stuff. I don't have to worry about that kind of thing. Like
I
my old,
totally agree. And it's funny. I think, obviously pandemic's awful. There's a lot of negative things that for 2020. But one thing I have to say, like for me, that I can take as a positive was really gave me a chance, obviously, to reflect on the business and everything, life in general. But specifically, it brought me back to the days when I had first started making chocolate, and I had to think of, a flavor menu and how to be creative and how to push myself. It's like I was going back to that. And those moments when I first started is really what made me fall in love with chocolate to begin with. So it was like I was re-falling in love with it again. Not that I needed to, but it was just so great and refreshing to be able to rethink things and have time to look at a recipe, break it down again, and try to make it better, or think of new ideas or concepts. And that's something I've taken away that I'll cherish from this year for sure.
yeah. So we've done like, I don't know, like 25 of these
Yeah.
little chats. And like the one thing that strikes me is I've got like 24 new friends, but,
Yes, it's
but
great.
I got 24 new shops I got to go to when I'm allowed to get on an airplane again.
Yeah.
But what really strikes me is how like that comment you made about passion, right? Like I worked in hot food for a long time, and people liked what they did, but there were the passionate people, and there were the people that were less passionate. Is that a nice way of
Absolutely.
putting it?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
chocolate people are all in. Like,
Everyone's in. Yeah.
what do you want to do? I'm all in. Like
Yeah.
I'm going to open a business. I'm going to go out and I'm going to spend a quarter. I'm going to spend my retirement savings,
Yeah.
all of it,
Yes.
and I'm going to open a business. And
Yeah.
to me, that makes me go, holy crap, Batman, that's got to be scary, right?
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean I agree. I mean, I think that's what it does to you though. And it's funny because especially being American, like my idea of chocolate growing up is so different than when I walked into, and shout out to Hakan, who I know you actually did one of these with, but when he
I think
opened
he's here,
Fika,
actually. He was here earlier. So
I think I saw it, Sage. Well, I just wanted to say hi to him for sure. But when he opened Fika, like when I walked into Fika, it was just mind blowing. Like the flavor profiles, the way the passion that really stuck. So after the first day, just how passionate they were about what they were doing, and just seeing them work the way they did. I feel like I've always had that creative mindset, but I had to find a way to put it in to find the right thing for it. But in regards to chocolate, like I just didn't understand. I didn't see that growing up here. Here it was like Hershey's cookies and cream. You didn't see the fancy, you just didn't see that side of it. I didn't understand what you can do, what the capability of chocolate really was. And I think when people figure that out, they get obsessed with it and passionate about it and want to do more of it.
okay, so you grew up in Houston
I grew up in Houston, yeah. Yeah.
and went to the University of Houston because I heard that earlier.
Yes, I ended
Am
up
I allowed
going
to call
there,
it
yeah.
you-hoo to you, or
Yeah, sure.
or is that a
sure.
negative term? I don't know. Like my friends all went to Rice,
No.
so like.
So they call no. The negative term is cougar high. That's what they say.
That's right.
Which is fair, although it's very up and coming. And when I was there, the president's done a great job, I think, at that school. And she started, I think it's Rena Couture is her name, and she started a few years before I went there. It's become a better college, but it's a great school. It was in the city, and it was easy for me my mom actually had started this business about around the same time, maybe my last year of high school. And just a backstory,
So how long
I
ago are we
didn't,
talking? Like 10, 15
I
years
guess
ago?
she
Or?
started, yeah, something like that, like 13, 14 years ago. Little backstory, my senior year of high school, so the way it kind of worked is my senior year of high school, instead of staying at my high school, we had a program where you can go to Israel for a year, which I did. I spent a year in Israel, went to college there, had the time of my life. I came back. I went to UTSA initially, college in San Antonio, and then moved back after a year. I was not ready for college, I would say, that first year. It was just, you know, I think having that gap year and having that my last year of high school be so much fun, I just wasn't ready for college. So I came back here and kind of replugged, retooled, went to U of H. And what I really loved, and I'll take away from U of H, is that people that go to school there, it's not a party school. It's not a destination for college kids. People go there to get their education and to go start working and build their lives. You know, it's very like, it's a commuter school, or it was at the time. And the idea was, you know, I'm going to go there, get educated, go make money. And I really took that away. That really helped me, especially when I started making chocolate, just kind of with my mentality and my work ethic and how I wanted to get stuff done and just focus on that, and not, you know, like when I'm working on a Saturday or Sunday, not dreading it and being like, oh, I should be with my friends watching football. Or for me, it was not even a question. I don't care. You know, my work ethic was, I love what I'm doing. I don't care if I have to spend every waking moment not with my friends right now. I'm building something. And I really think being at a school like that kind of helped me with that mindset, if that makes sense.
I'm going to guess business major.
No, I did media. I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I knew my parents had started this business. I did media production. I was interested in that. It sounded fun.
Well, I don't mean to interrupt you, but were your parents food people, or was like, did they get to food late too?
So my parents, story on them real quick. They're originally from Beirut, okay? And then in the war in the 60s, they had to evacuate. My mom's family, for the most part, moved to Montreal, where she grew up. My dad went to Italy and pretty much grew up there. He lived there for like 10 years. So food-wise, we come from family that loves to eat and cook. My mom is a phenomenal cook. She has two other sisters. That's just what we did. We went and traveled to be with family to eat. It's what Jews do. I mean, you know, every holiday
See,
is
my Central American wife would tell you that's what Hispanics do.
yeah,
Like,
exactly.
you know, short of like my Irish relatives.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, that's the
Like,
culture. Everything's built around food. It's funny because my wife's family is complete. I mean, you go eat with, it's wonderful, but with them, it's like the main focus is the conversations we're having at the table. And with us, it's like, how was your day? Like when you come to eat dinner at our house, we're not asking like, hey, how's your day? No, it's like, how's the food? Do you need more food?
and there's a
Is
lot
this
of it.
food okay? Remember the last meal we had when we ate that was amazing? Like that's just how we talk in our family. So passion and food have gone together with us from the beginning. And my dad's always been passionate about food. Same with my mom. My grandmother was a phenomenal cook. But they ended up moving to Houston because my dad had a cousin here that he started a jewelry business. And he said, David, this is the next Los Angeles. I'm telling you, this is in the 80s. He's like, Houston's up and coming. I'm starting a business. Why don't you come here? We'll do this together. He came. After 4 years, his cousin goes, I'm going back to Brazil. You can have the company. Like he left. My dad was stuck with the business, but it was a nice business. He did it for years. I mean, he was in the business for over 20, 30 years. And then around that time when my mom started playing with chocolate, the idea was she had all these treats she ate in Lebanon, like these handmade marzipan chocolates and things that you couldn't get high quality versions of here. You know, if you got them, if you wanted to get like the Lebanese version, they'd get them shipped. By the time you get them, it just wasn't a good chocolate anymore, right? And the stuff you can get, it just wasn't the same. So she went and took a class in Montreal at the Calabo School, the Cocoa Berry Calabo School. And then she came here, and there was the Houston Community College actually has a great little it's a hidden gem in Houston, but they have a great chocolate program there. So she did that as well. She bought a small little like tempering machine for the house, and she just kind of started for fun. And then her friends came by and was like, you're doing this for my daughter's wedding. I need these. And she's like, okay, am I starting a business? And then it just kind of happened. In the meantime, jewelry business has changed so much, and especially wholesale. My dad was at the point where he was just fed up. It wasn't the same as it was before, and he wanted to get out of it. So, and then my mom, shortly after people figured out how good of a cook she was, she started doing full food service, and we were doing this out of the house for a while before we found a place. And so my dad, stopped the jewelry business, started working with her, and I would always come in. I mean, I had a part-time job when I was at school, but I'd always work for them part-time too, especially this time of year. They'd have some big corporate gifts we do. So I would dabble in there, and that's kind of how the business started. I graduated college and I went up to them and I said, look, I could go look for a job and start a career and figure things out, but I really think we have something special here. You guys seem so passionate about it. Why don't we try and build something? And I told them the only thing to show your commitment, we need I'm willing to do this, but the shake of the hand has to be that we start looking for a space, like a commercial kitchen. We can't keep working out of the house. This is ridiculous. Like, it's not legit and we shouldn't do it. And we would rent out kitchens too. It just wasn't ideal. It's like, let's take the next step. Fast forward a year, we took our time with it. We found this place. I had no idea I was going to be making chocolates. Like, I thought I was going to be on the business side of things. I was working on social media stuff for them. I was doing all like the side, try and hustle, try to get orders and stuff like that. And that year I think it was a year after that, I met my wife. We started dating, and I was still not making chocolate that first year. But my mom had met Hakan previously to that, maybe a year before. She was looking to buy a bigger chocolate machine, and the company said, hey, if you want to see how it works, if you're going to New York for the food show, there's a chocolatier that, might be willing to have you come take a look at it. It happened to be him. And my mom went there and met him that time. And then the following year, I think I came up. Yeah, the following year I came up with my girlfriend, and I met him at the show. He gave me his card. He said, I don't know if this is your thing, if you want to be in the kitchen or not, but if you have any, and this is like, we just shook hands and met, but he said, if you have any interest in chocolate whatsoever, if you want to just learn or just come for 2 weeks, come on in. And, to me, sounded great, right? It's funny. I was a little hesitant at first, and my wife turns to me and he goes, Danny, I know you're helping on the business side, but there's really no direction right now. What do you have to lose by just going? My mom said the same thing. So I reached out to him maybe a month or two later. We made it work. I came in, and that first day, man, I walked in, the way they were working, the product I was tasting, I was sold. I knew that's what I wanted to do. And we built the commercial kitchen here initially with the intention of a chocolate space. So I know I'm going on a rant, but this is the last thing. We had a chocolate room built out that she never even got to use that first year we moved in here because she got so busy with food catering. It blew up on the food side. She had no time to make chocolate, so no chocolate got done that first year. So in my head, the wheels are turning. I'm like, this is an amazing product. What they're doing by hand, I want to do by hand and learn. And I have a kitchen with a dehumidifier, an AC. I have it all set up. Like, most people that get this thought in their head end up they don't get the opportunity. Like, I have the opportunity. It's in my hands. Why don't I take advantage of this and see how much I really love it? And it's been a love story ever since.
Yeah, I mean, he's a passionate dude. I mean, Hakan.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know how long I've known Hakan, and I think he's about to open a new space. I saw on Instagram that.
Yeah.
He's not telling anybody where it is, but I'll tell you when we're done where it is. I can't tell everybody because he'll get mad at me. But
I might know also.
Yeah, he's moving out of the city, but which he did tell everybody on Instagram, I think. And if he didn't, I just did.
We text from time to time. I still bug him every now and then when I have issues, or if I have I don't know. We just shoot the shit sometimes. I don't know if I can say it. Sorry.
You did.
I don't know. Okay, cool. But and then we'll see how we're doing.
The marketing guy, I think, has stopped editing that out. The first couple ones we did this, he's like, Brian, you can't say stuff like that. And now I'm like, come on, man, I don't really care.
Yeah.
Our people don't care. It's a word. No,
good,
but in all seriousness, no, and I think he's kind of like that person that we're talking about, right? He's passionate very much about food and about, culture and all that stuff. And, he comes from a food side, and then chocolate's that thing that's it's
Hmm.
that next step.
It
And
is. It really is.
and I think about even like sort of like my own story too. Like I love doing pastry. I love food, and I did food for a long
Yeah.
time, and I did pastry for a long time, and when I got that final like clamp on the chocolate, it's like, oh, okay, this is where I'm supposed to be. Like
Yeah.
this is,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, are other fields like that, or
I don't
when the first
know.
astronomy class you take, if you're going to be an astrophysicist, are you like, holy
Right?
crap, Batman, this is what I'm supposed to do with my life?
I
I
mean,
don't
it's
know.
so true though. It's funny because I don't have a pastry background. I didn't go to culinary school. I really didn't. I mean, I took a course. So I did that with Hakan twice. I went 2 weeks that one time, and then the next year I went for a week. But I was always able to text with him and Richie, who was a sous chef, who is amazing. I love that guy so much. But they just taught me so much, and they were so willing to teach.
Right.
Uh, yeah, I can't really relate. I mean, I've had passions in life with certain, like I love basketball or this or that, but never to this extent where it's like I'm, laying in bed, staying up till 2 in the morning, thinking about what I want to do and just thinking about chocolate. And I know I'm not the only one. This is what happens to everybody.
No, but I mean, the other cool thing about that story is we also all have that person or those people, right? Like I've got a couple of those people in my life that when I don't know the answer, or like I just kind of want to talk through something,
Yeah,
you know,
talking through it.
I have
Yes.
to I have to go on I have to go on WhatsApp because he now lives in Mumbai, but
Yeah.
and I have to remember the time zone. And it's like eight and a
Yeah,
half
yeah,
hours,
yeah.
which really kind of screws me up. But
But it's worth
like,
it.
right, like so
Yeah.
I'll get out of bed early.
Yeah.
Like if I need to talk to you, if I need help, I'm going to call Anil.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk, and we're going to spend 20 minutes talking about his family, and we're going to talk about what's going on in Mumbai, and then
That's
chocolate,
great though. I mean,
chocolate,
yeah.
and then only then, do we get to that nugget of chocolate. And I know other fields are like that, and I know other people are passionate about that. But I mean, like I said at the beginning of this, the cool thing about this project has been just getting to talk to people that are passionate about the same
It's
things I
great.
am. Has
Yeah.
been awesome.
Yeah. And going back to your point though, I think that's what makes being willing, I think it's a big thing for me, um, especially in chocolate making, is having zero ego whatsoever. I mean, it's a big flaw. Like for me, it's like if I don't know something, I'm not going to pretend I do. Like being willing to admit that I need help on this or I need to talk something through is always going to make you better at what you do. And especially with chocolate, I mean, sometimes you need to talk things out. And it also makes clearly, you're reconnecting with people as well and talking about, your lives, and it makes you, I don't know, a more rounded person as well, I think.
Yeah, it's weird because like I've become one of those people. I think to a lot of people, like that guy that gets called,
Yes,
and
yep,
and
yep,
like I I don't know. I kind of take that for granted. Like there are days where full disclosure, I'll get super frustrated by that. Like, and I'm probably not supposed to say that here, but like,
it's
and
normal though, yeah,
and I think like you and I had some of that experience, right? Where you got a piece of equipment from Tomrick, right?
yeah,
You
yeah,
you
yeah.
you got a panner, the Comfit,
And yeah, 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 yeah,
right?
yeah,
And you couldn't come for training. I forget what the whole story was, but anyway, whatever. And we weren't coming there. Sorry.
yeah, obviously, yeah,
And you spent a lot of time with my assistant, right? You spent a lot of
yes,
time with, at that time it was Ben, and you spent
yeah,
a bunch of
yeah,
time with
yeah.
Ben, and you guys really like, I don't want to say bonded, but like talking to Ben about it, you guys bonded. You know
Yeah,
what I
we
mean? Like
did. Yeah, I
he's
really
like
loved Ben. He was
he,
great to
he
work with,
felt
and he was,
really invested in your business. Like
yeah,
he felt like that was his gig too. And
yeah,
I think on where I sit, or where Hawkins sits for you, or Neil sits for me, or whoever those people are, like there's a lot of learning that happens on the other side too.
yeah,
Like when I talk through something with a customer, I'm learning, right?
yes,
And
absolutely.
and that's
Yeah,
and I take that for granted, like because there are days where it's like, okay, set the thing to 118. Did you set it to 118? No. Could you set it to 118?
can you please do that?
You called me, right?
It's so funny. My mom. It's funny that you say that because that's my mom for people with cooking, and she used to have one person always. She'd give her the exact recipe, temperature to bake it at, and then at the end, after a few days, she's like, "So how did it turn out?" She goes, "Yeah, it was good. It came out good. It was a little soggy, but it's a little runny." And she's like, "Okay, did you cook it at 350?" She's like, "No, actually, I cooked it at 325." I was like, "Oh, did you put those ingredients in?" She's like, "Yeah, but I had to substitute some of the water for milk." I'm like, "Okay, well then that's why it came out that way." So that can get frustrating, for sure. But with the same token, first of all, I totally agree. Like sometimes when you have that conversation and you're revisiting something and helping someone else out, it's like a clarity moment. Something pops in your head and clicks, and you're like, "Oh wait, this actually relates to a problem I'm having with,"
Right.
which is wonderful. And I'm that person now for some of my pastry friends that work in chocolate here and there, but they do pastry primarily. And I love getting that phone call. I love help. It's such an honor, especially when I was treated with so much like willingness, like Hoken and everyone else that were willing to give me information. Like it's an honor to be able to then go help other people,
Yeah, it's funny. Like I forget that people know who I am. Like because I'm out there a lot. Like it's my job, right?
But that's
My
not
job
what
is
it's about. For you, it's not about your name.
because I don't.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Here.
I don't really care. Like
I don't care either.
That sounds really negative. I don't want to say
No,
I
I know
care,
what you mean.
but like my ego in all this is really not that important to me. Like
exactly.
It's like the marketing team's like, "You need to be doing more Instagram live videos." I'm like, "But why?"
Yeah.
Because people want to see it. I'm like, "But why?"
You don't want,
because you have stuff to offer. Like it baffles
exactly.
me that this show, I come on and there's like instantly 10 people there, and it's just like, wow, that's crazy. Like, but why? And eventually, it's because we're going to talk about chocolate, which we're going to spend the next. I promise we're going to spend some time talking about chocolate. So
it's all good. Yeah.
You come back from Fika. You know all about chocolate now. You're the chocolate master.
Yeah, right. I'm a master. I can temper by hand. I'm good. All I need is a scraper and a marble table. I'm good to go. Yeah.
And so your mom's got this business kind of cooking on the cooking with gas.
No pun intended.
Like rolling with the hot side, right? And baked goods and stuff.
Yeah,
and so you kind of get
food,
chocolate
food service. Yeah.
Like chocolate becomes your world.
Chocolate becomes my world. Yeah. I bought a marble table. I told her I don't want these tempering machines. I want to do everything by hand. I wanted to do what they were doing. They were producing, I don't know how many thousands of chocolates a day, and it was like 3 people for the most part, and they were doing it all by hand. It was like the coolest freaking thing ever. It's like, that's what I want to do. If I'm going to do it, I want to learn how to do everything by hand, and then I'll work my way to a sell me machine when I've deserved it, but I don't want to rely on pressing buttons. I want to be able to do everything by hand and comfortably. And that's, but like you said, and for me, that was like coming in. When I got that marble table, I came in every day, like 6 or 7 in the morning, 7 latest, and would practice. And it never stopped. I did not want to stop until I got it right.
Back to my friend Anil, who's now I worked with him at AUI, and he's now the corporate pastry chef for Felklin.
Nice. Yes.
That's real deal, right? Yeah. So Anil, my first day, like I'm going to work for this Swiss chocolate company. How are you at tempering? And I'm like, I'm okay. And he's like, no. You need to be great. And his gig was I had to temper twice a day, every day on the marble. And like I'd temper, we'd do a test, and it would go back in the effector, and it would melt. So that I could temper it, get it 4 o'clock before I went home. And the funny thing was, my friend Anil used to do shit like, see, now I said it. He used to do stuff like, he would come in like an hour before me, and he would like put a bowl of ice on the marble, right? And then like 15 minutes before I show up, he would take the bowl of ice and put it back in the freezer, and he would make it be like, I didn't know. Or he would take a heat gun, and he would just like heat the marble up to 140 degrees. And because it was like, you're going to have to learn how to do this.
You have to know every variable, yes.
Right,
yes.
And did you put your hand on the marble, or did you just pour the chocolate on the marble, Brian?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You always
the other good one, by the way,
I
got chocolate all over my coat, right? And he comes around the corner, he's like, what's up with the chocolate? And I'm like, well, chef, I'm working with chocolate, and chocolate's messy. And he just kind of looks at me and with his head to the side and goes, is it the chocolatier that's messy, or is it the chocolate? And like walked away, like Yoda. I'm like, what the hell was that?
That's my first day so Fika was, I feel like most people, I was passionate, so I loved it. But it was challenging. I mean, I feel like for most people, like for my wife would have done it for a day and been like, yeah, it's not for me. I can't do this. You know, for me, I was like, no, I'm going to get good at this. And there's two things. One was, well, basically the first week was me they would just give me they had a big melter, and my job, they had huge marble tables. So I had a corner, and I would temper, melt, put back in the melter, or just put back in the melter, retemper all day long. Then I felt good about my temper. My temper was good. I felt confident. They're like, okay, now you're going to start shelling. And I underestimated the strength it takes in your wrist when you first start, and you're like, you see them holding the mold upside down and cleaning, and you're like, oh, that's easy. And then you start doing it, and you're trying to like hold the mold with your fingers, and it's falling while the chocolate's coming out, and everything's messy. And then I go for my lunch break, and Richie looks at me, and I'm just like covered in chocolate, and he goes, I think you're going to need a new chef coat for the rest of the day. This is not going to work. It was great though. I mean, it's part of the learning experience. That's what you have to do, you know?
Yeah, I think, and there's all those little things that we take for granted when we've been doing it for a while, right? I mean, like,
Yeah.
Like I work with smaller molds. I work with 1,000 series molds, not 2,000 series molds.
Yeah.
And I work with a very specific scraper, and I have a very specific offset spatula, right?
We're all
the reason,
like that, yes.
And the reason I do that is because I can then my hands are big enough. Hold on. Okay, so this mold, I can't hold.
Oh, wow.
Right? So I have to hold it this way.
Yeah.
And I don't like holding it this way. I want to hold it this way.
So you like the smaller molds. I know which one
right.
you're talking about.
And so my scraper is exactly the same size. And so if I go to a bigger mold, I have to go to a bigger scraper. And I don't like the bigger scraper.
No.
I like the scraper
Especially
I like.
If you're working with the sewing machine too, the blade that you clean your scraper with, it's a specific size. So when you get like the longer blade, it's harder to work with. You want that like specific size. And going back to learning though, on the flip side, I brought in my sous chef. It's been a little over a year, but I think because of the way that I was taught, it really helped me become a good teacher. Just the way that, you know, everyone, you know, how, like, no matter how much I messed up when I was even at FICA, like Richie would never like get super frustrated and be like, I can't believe, you know, what are you doing? Never. It was always calm. Like I would have a panic attack and he'd be like, it's okay. Just, we're just going to melt this, clean it, and you'll go again. It was always just calm, especially Hakan, like never, that guy, he just never, always just calm. It's all good, man. That was always the vibe. Like, it's okay. You messed, it's fine. Make it better next time. Don't mess up next time. You know what you did. Just learn. And that's how how I've been able to teach. And the results are great. I mean, I really love that method of teaching as opposed to being strict and mean and, you know, like harsh.
I need a guy yelling at me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't learn unless somebody's yelling at me. Like if I can make a mistake and it's cool, I'm like, you know, you don't have to yell at me, but you do have to call me out on it. Like you got to tell me, like, of
course, you got to be like, hey, this is not acceptable, but
yeah,
you know,
like from then on, I knew my jacket couldn't be dirty. Like I just knew. Like I got it. I'm picking up what you're laying down. Yeah, I'm with you. I got to work cleaner. Thank you. Yeah, you know, but
for sure. I mean, you can't be too soft.
So, but is your time at FICA really okay? So you spend all this time at FICA, and you come back to Houston.
Yeah.
And now, like, the chocolate world is yours.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, the world is I mean, I have an opportunity to build something, and I'm just kind of staring at I got a marble table. I'm kind of staring at it. I'm like, okay, and let's just start from scratch. Now, thankfully, I was able to start. You know, I did ganaches for while I was there, and I learned how to pipe things. So I was able to take some things from there that they shared with me. So I was able to start. I had some base to start on, and my mom made chocolates, like, and I helped her. So I guess I left this out, but we would make chocolates at home, which is very hard. Like especially in Houston, it's so hot. But basically, we had this extra air conditioning thing, and I would clean her molds all the time. Like she had the heart molds, you know, like it's the size mold that you like, that you can grab like this with the heart. I forgot. I think they're Chocolate World. I don't know. We use them a lot, but I used to clean. I don't know how many times I've cleaned those molds, and you know, you can't feel your finger. And she used to like to put a little gold decor in there. So when you're cleaning them, there's always gold decor on the cotton, and it was such a pain. But I had dabbled a little bit. I used to help her paint them by hand and stuff. But I honestly, it was so funny because I never really understood tempering then. And I was like, Mom, because we used to heat the tempering paints in the microwave. And, she'd be like, oh, don't worry about tempering it. You just heat it to 86. It's good to go. And I'd heat it to like 88 and be like, oh, it's probably fine, right? Not fine. So, but you learn those things. And now it's like we temper all of our paints on the marble. Now we have it. It's just so, when you finally understand what you're doing, it's so much easier.
Got it. So you do, but anyway, so now, I'm going to flash forward a little bit because I promised you 45 minutes and we're already at 36. So you're responsible for all the chocolate. You do all the recipe development. You do, how many people work with chocolate? Is it just you?
It's me and my sous chef, Zach. Yeah. And he's phenomenal. He's amazing. And we work concepts together too. I love to get input from him. So I'll never take credit for anything like fully, it's both of us working together. And that's part of the joy of doing it, is being able to talk things through together. Yeah. I took some concepts from Fika, obviously. And then eventually, as I got better and better, I was like, I want to develop my own things, and kind of changed a lot of the stuff my mom had on her menu to making them mine as well. So it's an evolution. It took time.
When did you come back? So how long have you been doing this now? When was that? Like 20?
So that was 2014, summer of 14. It hasn't been 6 years quite yet. We're on the 6th year. It's 5.5 years right now that I've been doing chocolate.
So is the business mostly wholesale?
It's a mix of both. We do a lot of retail, actually. We do quite a bit of retail. And then there's a cafe that opened up maybe a year and a half ago, and they invested in it was about a year ago. They invested in a huge display case for us, and they carry all of our chocolates there. So we actually don't even have a display case here. It's not in a retail location per se, but it's very close. We're still in the city. It's very accessible and easy to get to. But yeah, it's a lot of it's online sales. People come, it's just it's a little different. I do have a vision, but I'm just waiting obviously for COVID to end. But the concept I have in mind is really exciting. I don't want to share too much about it, but I think we're building something great here, and it's really exciting. And I don't care if it takes 2 years or 5 or 6. I know we'll get there. I'm not ready to, just go. I'm patient. I can take my time with it. I'm happy to.
Obviously COVID's created a challenge for everybody.
Yeah.
That's my understatement of this hour.
Yeah.
It's got to have really hurt on the catering side for you guys.
It's hurt on the catering side. Pleasantly surprised. I didn't think about this until I started getting phone calls, but I find a lot of businesses are not seeing their employees, and they're not seeing their clients, and they're not doing the Christmas parties. So what are they doing? They're spending more money on their clients and their employees. So they're spending a lot of that budget on corporate gifting, which is a pleasant surprise for us because we're getting a lot of corporate orders this year. More so, maybe on page to we did pretty great last year, but that's one of our specialties, is doing custom corporate orders. You want your logo on stuff. We have a sleeve on each box. We can do a custom sleeve, custom chocolate. Whatever they want to do. Houston's a very big, there's just a lot of businesses here, people, so there's a lot of opportunity for corporate gifting in Houston. Houston is not, if you just have a boutique shop, it's okay. But there's so much overhead, and Houston's not a walking city. It's a challenge. I'm not saying you can't do it. People do it, but it's hard. You have to find creative ways to get people to come to your shop. Absolutely.
Got it. But your website, chocolate's available, and you guys
And so what I launched that I really liked, for more than one reason, I started doing this. We don't have a ton of subscriptions yet, but it's growing. I started a subscription box. It's a 6-piece box. In the box, there's 2 flavors every month I've never done before. And then there's another confectionery item on the side. In the box, there's a menu with a QR code. So when you go on when you click that QR code on your phone, it tells you what the flavors are for the month, and then you can review it. So you're kind of like our taste testers. You're helping us develop our future flavors. But what I love that it's making me more creative. It's fantastic. And I also love that I'm finding a different way to connect with my customers and really understand what they like and want, and helps me reflect on what I can do too. It's one of the reasons also, well, before COVID, we did a lot of workshops here, similar to what Kate does in Dallas. She started doing those workshops, and it's a great idea. And what I really love about doing it is, sometimes people stay back at the end of class and ask me like 20 questions, going back to when you were like, sometimes they get frustrated. I mean, I'd be here for like an extra hour, but I cherish those moments because those people, like, they really want to learn, they want help and guidance. And it's so nice to be able to provide that. It's, to connect on that level with people that come into your store.
Got a question. So that box concept is a great segue into this question. Like, so there's been a piece in that box that you were sure people were going to love, and that people are like, no, this doesn't work, Danny. This is
not yet, but I
come
just
on.
Started.
Okay, what's there something at the shop that you've done that with? And there's got to be something you like. This is great, Mom. You got to try it. And Mom was like, Danny, no, go.
What did I try that was probably not the best? It's so hard to think that right off the top of my head. I'm sure once we get off, I'm going to be like, oh, that one time I did this.
Mine was durian.
That would be, yes. I don't know if I can do that.
I didn't even finish it. It smelled so bad in the kitchen, we had to like dump it.
Yeah,
it's
just like let's not do this.
And I couldn't dump it in the trash
happening.
can. I had to go to the dumpster. Like I had to like take the pot to the dumpster, and pour it in.
This is awful.
I
think I tried. I can't. It's got to be something like spice oriented. I feel like that I was like, or it was like just a spice bomb. Way too much of it, overpowering. I can't think like just off the top of my head right now though.
Okay, then this is an easy one. Right now, the pieces you're doing, what's your favorite?
Oh, man, that's also a tough question. It changes. I feel like it always changes depending on what I'm in the mood for. I just started making one. It was part of the subscription box. It's been a huge hit. It's an almond toffee crunch. So yeah, we make an almond gianduja, but we roast the hell out of the almonds, so you get a lot of flavor out of them. We salt the gianduja, obviously, and then we make a house-made toffee that we kind of crush in the. Once it sets, we kind of crush it up and fill each cavity with it, and that's been delicious. Especially this time of year, I always think of toffee and that kind of candy. I love toffee making. That's a challenge too in Houston, by the way, is perfecting that. So we were going to roll out with this. It's a graham cracker crust. It's a graham cracker toffee. So you have graham cracker on the bottom, toffee layer. Put it in the enrober, add some sea salt and crushed pecans on top, and it's incredible, but it's not consistent enough to my liking, like whatever we're doing just yet, and I haven't had enough time to play with it, but that's something that I'm excited for in the future. Yeah, but yeah, I don't know. I would say that. I always go back to the s'mores. I feel like that's one of our best sellers. It's nice because it's an easy to eat chocolate, and adults love it, and kids love it. I mean, it's versatile. Anyone will like that chocolate.
You don't have to answer it, but what type of chocolate do you use? Do you use one? Or do you use
it's a mix. It changes. When I first started, it was a lot of Guayaquil in the tank. Cocoa
From
berry.
cocoa berries.
We switched to Valrhona, and now I'm kind of just messing around. I mean, a little bit of both. There's no like strict. What's the word I'm thinking of? Bond with either. I mean, it just kind of depends on the application, but primarily Valrhona. I mean, right now we're like 90% Valrhona. And by the way, they have this chocolate that I just fell in love with. I didn't know about. I'm sure you've tried it. Opalese. It's the caramelized Muscovado sugar chocolate. That stuff is dangerous. Dangerous.
We're playing with Beth was working on a thing today with the raspberry inspiration.
Yeah.
And like it's literally like popping raspberries in your mouth. I mean, it's crazy.
Great.
Like I don't know how. Like the yuzu is great too. I just can't afford it.
Yeah, we use the passion fruit one. We do malt balls where we do a coating of passion fruit, and then we do milk chocolate on the outside of that. And those, like, they're just so addictive. They're so easy to eat, and it's just a thin layer, so you get that tartness, kind of cuts the sweetness a little bit, and we use just a simple Valrhona milk on top, and it's fantastic. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, I worked for a Swiss company, so I have a special place in my heart for Swiss milk chocolates. But
It's phenomenal.
but Javara is still one of my favorites. Like Javara, like
Oh, you
my
like the
druthers.
malty. I like malts, but like for me, I like drinking beers, but like malty beers for me, I like crisp. It's just the way I am, but I like it in certain times of year but I do like, honestly, Hakan got me hooked on 823 though from Calabo. I love that chocolate, and it's fluid. You can mold chocolates with it. You can use it in recipes. It's so functional. I love that chocolate.
Yeah, I mean, I think what's cool that one of the things that we obviously get to play with a lot of different chocolates, right? And
Yeah,
like because we're working with customers and
it's great.
we
Yeah,
work with the
yeah.
chocolate companies, and like there's got to be in the building right now. I bet you there are 15 darks.
That's
Like
amazing. Yeah, yeah.
look, I'm trying to think where I'm sitting from. One, two, three. I've got 8 tempers that I can see kind of from where I'm sitting.
I'm a little
And,
jealous. I'm
and I
not gonna
think there are
lie.
7 different chocolates in those 8 tempers, right? I mean,
Yeah.
but it gets a little, it's hard, right? Like you got to like, they're all a little different and they're like, you got to tweak it a little bit.
And they all have their applications. Yeah,
Right.
like it depends right? Like for me, like there's the Bahiba chocolate, the 46%. I love that chocolate, but sometimes it's not meant to be used. Like sometimes you need the sweeter chocolate. You need that,
Right.
you need that extra milk fat or whatever it is that you're doing, that extra sugar.
Right.
I
It's
am
complicated too for
jealous.
us. Right. It's complicated because like across the hall, I can make my own chocolate too. Right. So like we'll do that too.
Oh yeah,
Like,
those machines look insane. I would love to get to that point where I'm making my own chocolate. I mean, that's just special.
well,
That's amazing.
when people are allowed to come to New York again,
Yes.
you're more than welcome
Yeah.
to come whenever you want.
Yeah. Well, I'm also jealous of how many tanks you have because we have one sell me machine right now. We keep our dark in there because that's what we use the most. But sometimes we get those big projects like those Ford trucks. I don't know if you got to see the Ford trucks that we did.
I didn't
When they
realize I didn't realize they were for you until I was doing research for this interview, and
Yes.
I'm like,
So,
oh, those are
yeah.
for Danny at Mostly
And
Chocolate.
I'm going to send you guys pictures. I meant to, and we've been so busy, but we got some professional pictures made. They're so awesome. But when you have 50 trucks you have to make, and they ask for them in white chocolate, it's like, okay, I got to do everything by hand because I'm not going to clean that. I'm not going to put white chocolate in that machine after it has. It's just like it just doesn't make sense. So
Yeah. I kind of I mean I don't want to rub it in, but like there are days that like we totally take all that stuff for granted. Like
yeah,
it's just like
it's awesome.
and then even when we have to do something by hand, we've got like 2 easy tempers sitting in there. We've got like 4 different melters that we can put on the marble.
Yeah.
Like,
I do love, but it is therapeutic to temper by hand. I mean, I love it. Don't get me wrong, I do. It's just frustrating, like when you have 25 molds of something, it's so much easier to shell them when you have the tank. And when you're doing it by hand, yeah, we have like a little warmer we can keep it in, but after like 15 molds, you gotta like reheat it a little bit and play with it and get it going, and
chocolate on the marble is how I wooed my wife.
Oh, really? Nice, nice. I mean, hey, it's a talent.
And that sound, you can tell who people learn to temper from by the noise, right? And I learned from Anil, but ultimately Awald Nodder, right? And
so do you use like the offset spatula at the same time?
Offset, and yeah, so this is moving, and then slap, slap, clunk, slap, slap,
Yeah.
clunk, slap, slap, clunk.
So I learned from Fika, and all we used was one of those Home Depot scrapers, and it's just like up the top and you just kind of move it around in like a circle kind of thing,
Yeah.
and then you're good to go. But
2 hands.
yeah, it's always one hand for me. But hey.
It's easier to
As
get off
long
the
as
table with
it's
2.
tempered, it does not matter. That's at
Right.
the end of the day, right? That's all that matters.
All right, so here's another question I ask everybody.
Sure.
And we were talking a little bit about your concept of American chocolate growing up. What's your dirty little secret chocolate bar that you don't tell the people that you eat?
Well, right. I mean, I always loved Crunch Bar growing up. I know it's not like the best.
That's what I was
chocolate.
looking for. That's what I'm looking for, just like down and dirty.
But also, like
I'm getting like a
Snickers
candy
growing
bar.
up was phenomenal. Like I loved a good Snickers bar.
I've recently grown an appreciation for Snickers bars. Like I
Yeah.
never liked them growing up because I don't really like peanuts in anything other than
I'll
peanut
tell
butter.
you my dirty little secret though when it comes to chocolates. So here's the thing. I hate when people call my shop the can. Like when they come, they're like, "Is this a candy store?" I'm like, "No, it's not actually. It's a chocolate shop. Like it's not candy. We're not doing like I just think of it as something
I'm with
different,
you.
right?
I'm with you.
So
My father-in-law used to call me the candy man, and it used to make me
yeah,
nuts.
I know, it's tough. It's like I'm not making candy though. But anyways, my dirty little secret is my addiction for candy, like Sour Patch, And when I was younger, I was not like a chocolate. Chocolate was like okay, I guess I'll eat this. But when I saw like the little Coke cans and the Sour Patch Kids and like the string, like that stuff, even to this day, whatever, if I have anything in my house, luckily I'm an avid runner, so I burn a lot of, I'm fortunate because if that stuff's in my house, it'll be like 1 a.m. and I'll be like, I need to go get water. And then I go down there, I'm like, oh, there's Sour Patch Kids. Okay. And I'll just
So
shovel a few down my throat.
I'm not allowed to go to the duty-free shop anymore on my trips back to the United States because I will buy the 2-pound bag of Haribo cola bottles and
Yeah.
then eat the 2 pounds on the flight from
On the
Europe.
plane.
And
Yep.
then like I'm in immigration, like I
Like,
want to die. You know?
That's me, my brother and I. That's like how we bond. We bond by eating. And every time we have a trip together, I'm like, okay, this time we're going to go to the airport. I'm not just going to like eat a bunch of crap before we even get to the city that we're going to. And every time it's an epic fail. By the time we get there, we're disgustingly full, but we have this exciting dinner we're going to. I mean, that's how me and my brother bonded. Every time we'd go on a trip, if we went on a trip together, like he's such a good planner. Luckily, my wife is. I'm terrible at it. I'm very in the air. So every day he'd have like, this is what we're doing for lunch. This is dinner. This is when we're going to have like a day off to like recalibrate. Then we're going here. And by the end of the trip, like when you're on the flight home on Sunday, me and his friends joke about this. If you go on a trip with Albert, you're like on that flight home, like just begging to get home already. You're just in awful shape. Like your stomach is, going crazy. You just want to go home and chill. By the time it's all said and done.
All right, last chocolate question. I'm going to put you on the
Sure.
spot one more time. Who's doing something right now that you think is really cool? You can't say Hawken. And you've already mentioned Kate Weiser. So you can't talk about Kate, the original Cocoa Bomb creator, by the way. Like,
Yes.
Cocoa Bombs are everywhere. That's Kate's gig.
That's Kate's gig, and she put a name to it too, which was really cute. I mean, Carl the Snowman's awesome.
Yeah.
Man, yeah, you know what my problem is though, just real quick before I answer, is that I'm not on Instagram a lot, I'm not on Facebook a lot, and I'm not mostly for like my mental health. For me, it just affects me differently. I like to just kind of focus on what I'm doing, so I haven't been taking a lot of like, hey, what's this person doing over there lately? So it's kind of tough to answer that. I would honestly say it's my friend though. She'd be a great interview. Her name is Carla Espinoza, and she works at a restaurant called Mad Houston. She does chocolate, but she does pastries as well.
Right.
And her stuff is, she's a beautiful person, and her product, like inner person also is what I'm saying. And
No, I got you.
her what she does and her passion, you should see some of her work. You can check her out on Instagram. She's one of my favorite people in the world, and I love what she's doing. And I think she became an ambassador for Cocoa Berry recently.
Very cool.
And all the stuff that she puts out at that restaurant. So a little short story on that restaurant. Not that I'm advertising for them, but
because you're using your plug time. I was about to give you your plug time, but you're plugging for some restaurant in Houston. But you do what you want to do. You can do both.
I'll do both
half and
real
half.
quick. But Mad is short for Madrid, but also for Mad. So when you walk in there, everything, you feel like you're going crazy. Like when you go to everything's just set up crazy like this. So all the desserts are like that too. So she'll have like this lemon, and when you cut into it, it's actually got like raspberry, like it's an explosion of raspberry inside. So really, really cool stuff like that. Love what she's doing. And then, yeah, I guess a plug for us, I would say, definitely got to check out
mostlychocolate.com.
Check out the subscription box. I think that's really, really cool. And their flavors that some of them will be one-timers. Some of them will be the reason why we have them on our menus because of you, which I think is really cool. And if anyone has any questions too, they can always reach me on Mostly Chocolate or my personal one, which is just my name. Pretty simple. I'm always happy to help. And I mean, tis the season. If you have corporate gifts you need, if you have anything, chocolatey. If you need to make a Ford Bronco out of chocolate, I'm your guy.
And he knows where to get the molds. Hey man,
Yes.
this has been great. We're gonna run out of time. Tom,
Awesome.
Instagram's gonna turn us off. So
okay.
good luck with the rest of the holiday season.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
And we'll talk after the first of the year.
Yeah. Let's keep in touch. Yeah, it was
All right,
great. It was great talking to you, man. Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Take care.
Have a great day.
Of course.
Bye.
Yeah. Bye.